So in first two sessions, we have understood about what is React, what is the purpose of React, what is library, and then we have discussed drawbacks of creating UI with HTML and JavaScript. So what are the things we have covered till now? Till now, we have understood what is React, purpose of React. We have discussed about what is library, and then we discussed drawbacks of creating UI with HTML and JavaScript. In that process, we have understood advantage of creating UI with HTML, advantages of creating UI with JavaScript. Then we have discussed disadvantage of creating UI with HTML and disadvantages of creating UI with JavaScript. And then we have concluded that we are going to create user interface. We are going to create user interface with React. This is what we have concluded. Now, why we want to create user interface with React? Because using React, it is easy to create user interface. It is easy to create user interface in React. We can reuse the user interface in React. We can reuse the UI in React.js. React.js or React, both are one and same, guys. Whether I use the term React or if I use the term React.js, both are one and same. Third, we can create dynamic UI. We can create dynamic UI easily in React. So these are the things why we are moving towards React to create user interface. Now we need to learn how to create user interface with React. We need to learn how to create user interface with React. So what is user interface, guys? What is user interface? Did you remember what is user interface? I explained, right? What is user interface? Let me know on the chat, guys. What is user interface? Anybody have the idea? So what is the meaning of creating user interface which shows on website? Like what we show on website. So like, for example, if I open any website, let's assume that I'm just trying to open a simple Facebook application. Or maybe I will try to open Flipkart. Now, these are the two applications I have. Now, on this application, whatever you are seeing means you are seeing the text boxes, you are seeing the password box, you are seeing some title, you are seeing some button, you are seeing some links, right? And here also, if I go to Flipkart, here also we have text box. We have here drop down button. Here we have some image. Here we have some content. So all these things are called user interfaces, whatever you are seeing on the screen. So user interface is nothing but it is a collection of UI components. Okay, remember this term, guys. User interface is a collection of UI components. It is a collection of UI components. Yes, nice. It is a collection of UI components. So here on the screen, everything is called UI component. This text box is called UI component. This drop down button is called UI component. This image is called UI component. This content is called UI component. In the same way, in Facebook also, this text box is called UI component. This password box is called UI component. This button is called UI component. This link is called UI component. So many times I have explained this part. So don't forget this part, guys. It's very, 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 very important to understand. So indirectly, I can say that using React, we are going to learn how to create UI components. So using React, we have to learn how to create UI components. It means you need to learn how to create text box with React.js, how to create button with React.js, how to create link with React.js, how to show headings with React.js. Like this, you have to learn now. So once you are able to create text boxes, buttons, links, headings with React.js, then if you combine all those UI components, then we can say that we are able to create user interface with React. We are able to create user interface with React. Okay, so this is our ultimate goal now. Okay, so now we are going to learn how to create UI with React. So to understand how to create UI with React, you should know two concepts of JavaScript. You should know the concepts of JavaScript. When it comes to JavaScript, in JavaScript, you should know two concepts. What are those two concepts? The first concept you should know is functions. You should know about the parameters and arguments. You should know about the return statement. Return statement. And one more concept we should be aware of, that is called object. That is called object. So these are the concepts of JavaScript we should know right now. So in today's session, we are going to learn these concepts. In today's session, we are going to learn these concepts. And then we will see how to create our UI components with React. So first, let's understand what is function in JavaScript. What is function in JavaScript? Maybe a lot of people already know what are functions in JavaScript, but still I will try to explain what are functions in JavaScript. Functions in JavaScript. So functions in JavaScript are block. They are block where we write our code. So what are functions? Functions are like a block. Block means they are like one container. So functions are like this one block, one container. In this container, we are going to write the code. We are going to write some JavaScript code. Some JavaScript code. To do particular action, to do some action, or to do specific some task. So what is function if someone asks you? In very simple words, we can define. Functions are block. Functions are block in JavaScript. Functions are block which contains set of instruction, or you can call code. To do action, to do specific action or task. So what is function? Functions are block. They are like block. Block means like one container. In that we write some code, we write some instructions to do some task or action. This is how we are going to define the functions. Now, how to create these functions? For that, we have to use a function keyword. We have to use a keyword called function. As it is, we have to write a word called function. Then we have to add one space. Then we need to provide some name for our function. We have to provide some name for our function. And then we have to start with parenthesis, close parenthesis. And then start curly brace and close curly brace, close curly brace. This is how we create the function in JavaScript. This is how we create the function in JavaScript. Inside this curly braces, we write our code. Here we are going to write our code. Now here, this word function is called keyword. This is called keyword. Keyword means reserved words in programming languages. This is called function name. From this curly brace to this curly brace, we are going to call as a block. We are going to call as a block. So if you see this word, this function word is called keyword. This part is called before parenthesis. Before parenthesis, it is called function name. Function name. This curly brace and this curly brace, this is called opening curly brace. This is called closing curly brace. So this curly brace represents block. We call it as a function block. Function block. And whatever space we have, whatever area we have inside the function block, that area is called function scope. The area inside the function block is called function scope. It is called function scope. So all these terms are very, 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 very important, guys. You should know what is function scope. Function scope is nothing but this area which is present in between open curly brace and close curly brace. That area, that space is called function scope. Function block is nothing but this one. These curly braces are called function block. So in our JavaScript, we represent any block using curly braces. Like this, using curly braces, we represent the block. So this is called function block. This is function name, this is function keyword. And this entire thing together, we are going to call as a function definition or function declaration. We can call function definition or you can call it as a function declaration. So what is function definition or function declaration? This entire thing. So keyword, function name, function block, function scope, all these things are called function definition or function declaration. So if you see, I am trying to teach what is function completely from zero level. Completely from zero level. So let's see how to create practically this function. So to create practically this function, first you have to open the Visual Studio Code. We have to open a tool called Visual Studio Code. Open the VS Code tool. And I'm expecting that everybody knows how to work with Visual Studio Code. Already they have installed Visual Studio Code in their system. I'm expecting that. In case if you don't know how to install Visual Studio Code or if you did not install Visual Studio Code, then just message on the chat. Just message on the chat that I don't know. So in short, you can write IDK. In short, you can write IDK. Then I will get the idea how many of you don't know how to install Visual Studio Code or how many of you did not install Visual Studio Code in their system. Second step, open the Visual Studio Code and then open one empty folder. Open the empty folder in VS Code. In VS Code, we have to open one empty folder. Open the empty folder in the VS Code. Third, create JavaScript file. Create JavaScript file. Fourth, write the JavaScript code. Write the JavaScript code. Okay, so what I will do now, first I will open the VS Code here. So this is how the VS Code looks like, guys. So the people who don't know, you guys just ping me on WhatsApp, guys. So my WhatsApp number will be this one, 730-312-5757. Just ping me on this number. The people who don't know how to install Visual Studio Code. So for you guys, I will provide one video. You just go through that video and you just learn how to install that code and how to work with this tool. In that video, I have explained how to install the tool and how to work with the tool. Work with the tool. So you just message me, just say hi. I will provide that videos to you. The people who don't know how to install Visual Studio Code and how to work with that. So here, if you see, I have opened that Visual Studio Code. Now let me open one folder. So let me just create one empty folder in any specific drive. So maybe I will go to the E drive under training, under React free series. Let me create one folder called session 3. And let me open that folder. Now second step is also done. We have opened one empty folder. Create one JavaScript file. So I am creating here functions.js. JavaScript file is created. Now in this JavaScript file, we need to write JavaScript code. Now what is the code we have to write? This function code we have to write. We have to create our first function. How to create function in JavaScript? For that, just you have to write function keyword as it is. Then add one space, give some name, function, whatever you want to give. I will write here my first function. And then start with parenthesis, close parenthesis, then open curly brace, close curly brace. This is how we create the functions in JavaScript. Now inside these functions, we can write our JavaScript code. So in this function, I want to create one variable. What I want to do, I want to create one variable. Create a variable in JavaScript. So how to create variables in JavaScript? For that, we have to use a statement called var. Then some name we have to give for our variable. For example, I am giving like num1. And in that variable, I want to store some data. How to store the data? Use assignment operator and just store the data. And then add semicolon. So this is how we create the variables in JavaScript. So I'm expecting that you guys know how to create variables in JavaScript. Like this, I can create any number of variables. And let me use one more variable and let me add these two numbers, num1 plus num2. And let me use console.log to print the result in my terminal. So what I have done, I have written some JavaScript code, Now what this code is going to do, this code is going to add two numbers, that is 100 and 200. And whatever result will be generated, that result it will print in the terminal. It will print in the terminal of Visual Studio Code. Now, where is our terminal? So to open that terminal area, what you need to do, on the top, you will find some options here like file, edit, selection, view. And after that, you have three dots here. So just select these three dots and then you will have an option called terminal. Then select that terminal option and click on this new terminal. So the moment you click on that new terminal, this area will open. Now this is called our terminal. Now whatever result will be generated after adding these two numbers, that result I want to print here. So if you want to print the result in terminal area, then we use this console.log. So what is the console.log? Console.log will help us whatever data you are storing in this variable. That data will be printed in this area. It will be printed in this area. So we need to execute this code. Now, can you guys tell me how to execute JavaScript code? How to execute JavaScript code? How many of you know how to execute JavaScript code, or how many ways we have to execute JavaScript code? Let me know on the chat, guys. So what you done right now, you created one JavaScript file. In that you written some JavaScript code. Nothing but you created one function. And in that you written some JavaScript code. Now this code we need to execute. So who will execute the JavaScript code? Yes. So there are two ways, guys. There are two ways to execute JavaScript code. The first way is we can use browser. using browser, we can execute JavaScript code. Second way is we can use Node.js. Use Node.js. We can use browser to execute JavaScript code, or we can use Node.js to execute JavaScript code. These are the two people who can execute JavaScript code. So right now, we will understand how to execute our JavaScript code using Node.js. Using Node.js. So to execute our JavaScript code with Node.js, first we have to install Node.js in our system. We have to install Node.js in our system. So my question is again, how many of you already installed Node.js in your system? So reply me in the terms of yes or no, guys. If you already installed Node.js in your system, just type yes. If you did not install Node.js in your system, and if you don't know how to install Node.js in your system, just type no. Just type no. So let me just check how many of you already installed. Yes, almost I got 50-50. Okay, guys. So let me explain you how to install Node.js in your system. Lot of people did not install yet. So it's very simple, guys. So what you need to do to install Node.js in your system? First, you need to visit nodejs.org website. The first step is you have to visit nodejs.org website. Second step is you have to click on download button. Click on download button. So see, the first step is we have to visit Node.js org website. So just go to the browser and here search for nodejs.org. Press on enter button. The moment you search for nodejs.org, you will land on Node.js official website. Now here you have a download button. Download Node.js. Just click on this download Node.js. The moment you click on download button, .msi file will download. If you see here, .msi file is going to download in your system. So once this file is downloaded, go to your downloads. Go to your downloads and just open this file. Just open this file. So double click on this file, it will open. The moment it opens, you will see one pop-up will come. And here this next button is disabled. Just wait for a few seconds, it will enable automatically. Now see, it is enabled. Okay, what is the third step you have to do? Third step is you have to open the .msi file. Now fourth step, what you have to do? You have to click on the next button. You have to click on the next button. Click on next button. So here this pop-up will come, right? Now click on this next button. Then once you click on next button, next pop-up will come. Now here you have to select this checkbox. Select this checkbox and click on this next button again. Then again click on next button. Click on next button. Click on next button. Then click on install button. Then click on install button. That's it. Very simple installation. So you have to click on next button till you get install button. And once you got install button, click on this install. It will just take less than 30 seconds to install Node.js in your system. Once Node.js is installed in your system, you will get here finish pop-up. You will get this finish pop-up. Click on finish button. So what you need to do? Fifth step, you have to select the checkbox. Select the checkbox and click on next button. Click on next button till we get install button option. Install button option. The moment we get install button, then click on that install button. Click on install button. Click on install button. That's it. Once Node.js is installed in your system, verify whether Node.js is installed or not. Verify the installation of Node.js. So how to verify whether Node.js is successfully installed or not? For that, you have to open your command prompt. Open the command prompt. Or you can call it as a terminal. You have to open the command prompt or terminal. Second, add the following command. Add the following command. What is the command we have to add? We have to add the command called node space -v. We have to add the command called node space -v. So just open your command prompt. Here search for cmd. You will get this option command prompt. Select that option. Now here this command prompt will open. Now here type the command node space -v and press on enter button. If you get like this some version number, it means Node.js is installed successfully in your system. Instead of version number, if you get like this message, like Node is not recognized as internal or external command, it means Node.js is not installed in your system. So you should get like this version whenever you use this command. If you are using this command and if you get like this message, it means Node.js is not installed. Okay. So after the class, I will provide this paint file to you and I will provide recording also. So you can go through this recording, you can go through this paint file and install Node.js in your system. So Node.js is required for React.js also. That's why I taught this installation to you. Understood, guys, how to install Node.js in your system? Everybody understood? Okay, if you understood the installation of Node or Node.js or not, let me ask you the question on this poll. I am launching one poll, just answer yes or no. Did you understand how to install Node.js in your system? Okay, I am going very, very slow, guys. Very, very slow. So that from starting only, we should be perfect. So in this way only, we are going to learn even our advanced concepts. That's why my free training is going to go for almost 1.5 to 2 months to learn React.js. And I will be providing lot of recorded videos to you. Right now, I am covering JavaScript concept in live session. So in coming days, what I will do, whatever JavaScript topics are there, I will give you that as a recorded session. So before 1 or 2 days, I will provide that session to you. And I will ask, watch these videos and come to the next session. So what you guys have to do, you have to go through that recorded session of JavaScript concepts and you have to come to the live session. So that in live session, I will focus only on React. I will not focus on JavaScript. So in this way, the people who don't know JavaScript, they will be comfortable because they have JavaScript videos. They are watching the videos and coming to React sessions. The people who already know JavaScript, even they will not feel boring because they will be focusing only on the React concepts. So this is how I am going to follow this strategy in coming days. So this is the first and last JavaScript topic which I will teach in the live session. After that, all the JavaScript concepts I'm going to give you as a recorded session. Okay, yes. Now let me just check this poll result. Yes, almost 100% I got yes. Great. Okay, guys. Now we know how to install Node.js. Now let's learn how to execute JavaScript code with Node.js. How to execute JavaScript code with Node.js. How to execute JavaScript code with Node.js. So to execute JavaScript with Node.js, First, open the terminal. Open the terminal. Open the terminal in VS Code. So here, this is our VS Code, right? We have to open this terminal. Now, once we open this terminal, make sure your terminal is opened in the path of your folder. Whatever folder name you have taken, in that folder path only the terminal is opened. Once that is done, then what you need to do, second step, use the command, use the following command. You have to use the following command. What is that following command? The following command is node space file name. We have to use node space file name. The moment you use this command, your code will execute by Node.js. Your code is going to get executed by Node.js. So what you need to do now, here you have to type a command called node space your file name. What is our file name here? The file name is functions. So we have to type here functions and press on enter button. The moment you press on enter button, this code will execute it. Whatever code you will write in the file, this code will execute it. Now, if you see, the moment I press on enter button, there will be no result here. You won't see any kind of result. Now see, there is no result displayed. Now, why no result is displayed? Because the code inside the function, whatever code you written inside the function, it is not executed. It is not executed by Node.js. Now, how to tell to the Node.js execute the code inside the function? For that, we have to call the function. We have to call the function. So this is called function definition. After function definition, we have to call that function. How to call the function? Whatever function name you have written, just use that function name. That is my first function. And then use parenthesis. Now this is called function call. This is called function call. Now save your file. Again run your code. Again run your code. Nothing but again execute your code. So node space functions. Now the moment I press on enter, you should be able to see the result. Now see, here result is printing. That is 300. Because 100 plus 200, it is a 300. Now let me change the data. Let me make it 50. Let me make it 20. Now 50 plus 20, it should print 70 here. Let's try. Again, let's execute 70. So remember, your function code will get executed. The code inside the function will get executed only if you call the function. Only if you call the function. Especially for the freshers. This point I want to stress little bit. Function code will get executed only if function is called. Only if function is called. So this is the code I have written. So let me take the screenshot of this code. And let me paste in this Visual Studio, this paint file. Now, if you see guys, this part we are going to call what? What we call to this part, guys? What we call to this part? What we call to this entire part? Anybody can tell me? What do we call to that entire part? Yes, it is called function definition or function declaration. Function definition, or we call function declaration. Or sometimes we say that we defined a function. We will say that we have defined a function. Okay, function block means this curly brace, guys. Only this curly brace is called function block. But function block with function name, function keyword, and function scope is called function definition. And what we call to this part, what we are going to call to this part, what we call to this part? . Yes, it is called function call. Now, why I'm explaining all this means all these concepts are required in React. All these concepts are required in React, guys. That is the reason I'm explaining all these things. All these things are required in React. We should have knowledge on this. We should know what is function definition. We should know what is function call. Same concept we are going to use in React JS, just terms are going to change. Here we are calling function call. In React, we call some with different word. Here we said function definition. There we will say something else. Just terms are going to change, concept will be same. Okay. Now, can I call this function 3 times? Can I call this function like this one more time, one more time? Answer is yes. You can call your function any number of times. You have to define your function only one time, define the function only one time, and you can call your functions any number of times. How many times you will call the function, that many times your function will execute. Just see here, I am calling my function 3 times. It means this code inside the function will get executed 3 times. So the moment I save my file and if I execute my code, now Node.js will execute the code inside the function 3 times. 3 times you will get the result. Now see, 3 times you got the result. How many times you will call, that many times it will execute. Now all the 3 times, we are getting the same result. We are getting the same result. It means every time, whenever you are calling the function, you are adding two numbers. That is 50 plus 20, 50 plus 20, 50 plus 20. Now my requirement is whenever I am calling my function first time, it should add 50 and 20. Second time, if I am calling same function, it should add 100 and 50. Third time, if I call the same function, it should add something like 40 and 70. This is my requirement. Every time it should add new numbers. It should add new numbers. It should not add same numbers 3 times. Every time it should add new numbers. So how to make possible our functions are adding new numbers the moment we call it? The moment we call our function, it will add always new numbers. How we will make sure? Yes. So this is where functions, parameter and argument comes into picture. Now you are a developer. Now what you need to do, you have to give some input. You have to give some input data to functions. You have to give some input data to functions. You have to tell, hey function, take 20 and 30. Take 20 and 30 and add those numbers. Second time, whenever you are calling, you have to tell, hey function, take 100 and 50, add that numbers. Third time, whenever you are calling, you have to tell, take 40 and 30, add these numbers. Like this, we have to tell to our function. How to tell to our function or how to provide input data to the function? For that, we have to use the concept called parameters and arguments. We have to use a concept called parameters and arguments. Now, what are parameters and arguments? We have to understand. So, parameters are variables without scope statements. Parameters are variables without scope statement. Like var, let, and const. Parameters are defined while creating or while defining the function. Parameters are defined while defining the functions. Parameters are used to hold arguments or store arguments. So what are parameters, guys? Remember, parameters are variables only. Parameters are variables without scope statements, without scope statements. So whenever you are creating a function, so suppose here I am creating one function something called f1. Like this, I am creating a function. Now this is called function definition, or we are defining the function. So whenever we are defining the function, inside this parenthesis, we can define some variables. Like I am defining one variable called x. Now here this x is called parameter. Here this x is called parameter. Like this, I can create one more function f2. Now for this function also, we can define parameters. Suppose here I am defining name comma ct. Now these two are called parameters. So here I am defining two parameters. Here I am defining one parameter. Like this, you can define any number of parameters. From one parameter to another parameter, you have to separate with comma. You have to separate with comma. So parameters are separated with comma. So this is how we create the parameters. So parameters are created while defining the functions. While defining the functions. So let me just copy this code and let me paste here. These are called parameters. So let me copy properly. And let me add in our paint file. Here, this X and name city are called parameters. So this X is called parameter and this name and city, these both are called parameters. These are called parameters. Okay, now what are arguments? Arguments are our actual data. Arguments are actual data which we pass while calling the function. What are arguments? Arguments are the actual input data. Actual input data. Arguments are passed. Arguments are passed while calling the function. While calling the function. Arguments are passed while calling the function. For example, here I have created two functions, f1 function, f2 function. Now I can call those function. Like I can call f1 function, I can call f2 function. Now f1 function has only one parameter. So in this parenthesis, I need to pass the data. For example, I am passing 100. Here I am passing 30, 40. Now this 100 will store inside this x. And this x we can use here. We can use anywhere here. This 30 and 40 will be stored in this. So 30 will store in name, 40 will store in city. Here, whatever parameter names you want, you can use. You can pass any type of data. I can pass strings also. I can pass here something like Kabir and I can pass my city name as a Pune. So here the first argument will store in first parameter. Second argument will store in second parameter. So here these are called arguments. Here this is called arguments. So what are arguments here? This 100 is a argument. This data Kabir and Pune, this is argument. This is argument. Argument. So these are argument, these are parameters. So parameters are like variables. Arguments are like actual data. Actual data. One of the very famous interview question. Explain the difference between parameter and argument. Explain the difference between parameter and argument. This is one of the question people are asking in React interviews. In React interviews, people will ask this question. So remember, whenever you go for React interviews, first they are going to test your JavaScript knowledge. They will ask you questions on JavaScript. If you answer all the JavaScript questions properly, then only they will ask you React questions. If you fail here, they will never ask you React questions. Here itself, they will reject you. Here itself, they will reject you. So JavaScript is very, 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 very important, guys. It's very important when it comes to React JS. It's very, very important. We should be very, very strong with JavaScript. If you take any React interview, 60% of the questions, 60% of that interview questions will be from JavaScript. And 40% of interview questions will be from React. If you go to any React JS interview, in that interview, 60% of questions will come from JavaScript, 40% of questions will come from React. Some people, what they will do, they will ask 70% of questions in JavaScript and 30% of questions in React. Because it is believed that if you know JavaScript, then easily you can learn React. Even if you don't know any concepts in React, those people can train you if you know JavaScript. What companies will think, if that person don't know React properly, then I can train him if he knows JavaScript. But if that person don't know JavaScript only, then company will not waste time to train them. That is the reason they will reject. So what you guys have to do, you have to keep revising. You have to keep revising all your JavaScript topics. Revise the JavaScript topics. The moment we start learning React, every day, take one topic or two topics of JavaScript, work on it, practice it, learn its syntax, learn its definition, understand how to express it, why we use it, like that. So JavaScript is very, very important, guys. Okay. Yeah. Understood? What are parameters and arguments, guys? Let me show you one example now. So let me just comment all this. And let's copy that previous function. And let me paste here. Now see here, I have pasted the code. Now this function I will call my first fun. Now in this function, I will define two parameters, x comma y. Now here I have two parameters. Now whenever I am calling the function, I will pass here something called 40 comma 50. 40 comma 50. Now this 40 will store inside this x. This 50 will store inside this y. And from this x, I will copy the data in num1. How to copy the data of x inside the num1? So here you have to write x. Here you have to write y. So in your JavaScript, data will be copied from right side to the left side. So whatever data you have in x, it will be copied in num1. Whatever data you have in y, it will be copied in num2. And in x and y, what we are storing? We are storing 40 and 50. Now see, the moment I run this code, you will see the result is 90. Node space function name. Sorry, not function name, file name. What is file name? Parameter. So I will type here parameter. Here I got 90. Now same function I will call one more time. This time I will pass different data. I will pass here 100. Here I will pass 250. So 100 plus 250, it should print 350. So let's see here. Now see, here it is printing 90 and 350. So it is printing two different results. Same function I am calling one more time. And this time I am passing 1 comma 2. Now it should print 3. It should print 3. Okay, guys, understood? Parameters and arguments concept. Just answer this poll, guys.